Today, the EU gives Elon Musk a 24-hour ultimatum on disinformation on Twitter. Israel's strikes in Gaza continue, with entire neighborhoods demolished. Big humanitarian crisis in Gaza as Israel strikes back. And Robert Kennedy Jr. enters US presidential race as an independent. Welcome to Fine Print, and this is your briefing for Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. The EU has issued a warning to Elon Musk over the alleged disinformation about the Hamas attack on Israel, including fake news and repurposed old images on X, formerly known as Twitter. The letter arrives less than 2 months after sweeping new laws regulating content on social media seen in the EU came into force under the Digital Services Act. If Musk fails to comply, he can face a fine of 6% of his revenues from X or a total blackout in the EU. Following the outbreak of the conflict in Gaza, Twitter has been at the forefront of recommending disinformation, most of it boosted by the algorithm at the expense of trusted news. Musk's policy of giving blue checkmarks to anyone with $8 has led to thousands of accounts which either spread disinformation deliberately or simply fail to verify in a bid to attract engagement, which is then rewarded through a revenue-sharing program. Musk quit a voluntary code of practice set up by the EU earlier this year to enable social media companies to put in place systems to comply with the new laws. One of the most widely spread disinformation was a video purporting to be from the BBC, complete with BBC graphics, which cited a fake investigation that apparently connected weapons given to Ukraine to those used by Hamas. The EU has instructed Musk to contact relevant law enforcement authorities and Europol within 24 hours. In Gaza, Palestinians in the sealed-off Gaza Strip scrambled to find safety on Wednesday, as Israeli strikes demolished entire neighborhoods. Hospitals ran low on supplies, and a power blackout was expected within hours, further deepening the misery of a war sparked by a deadly mass incursion of Hamas militants. Airstrikes smashed entire city blocks to rubble in the tiny coastal enclave and left unknown numbers of bodies beneath mounds of debris. Israel has vowed unprecedented retaliation against the Hamas militant group ruling the Palestinian territory after its fighters stormed through the border fence Saturday and gunned down hundreds of Israelis in their homes, on the streets, and at an outdoor music festival. The war, which has already claimed at least 2,200 lives on both sides, is expected to escalate and compound the misery of people living in Gaza, where basic necessities and electricity were already in short supply. There is speculation that Israel could be preparing for a ground assault, which would be even more bad news for the innocent civilians. Still in Gaza, the humanitarian situation continues to deteriorate. Gaza Power Authority says its sole power plant will run out of fuel within hours, leaving the territory without electricity after Israel cut off supplies. Palestinians there have long relied on generators to power homes, offices and hospitals, but have no way of importing fuel for those either. The UN's World Health Organization said that supplies it had pre-positioned for 7 hospitals have already run out amid the flood of wounded. Doctors Without Borders said surgical equipment, antibiotics, fuel and other supplies were running out at 2 hospitals it runs in Gaza. The Strip's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa, only has enough fuel for 3 days and has consumed 3 weeks' worth of emergency stock in just 3 days. Israel has mobilized 360,000 reservists and appears increasingly likely to launch a ground offensive into Gaza, with its government under intense public pressure to topple Hamas. And finally, in the US, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced on Monday his independent candidacy for president, officially ending his effort to defeat President Joe Biden in the Democratic primary in favor of a long-shot general election bid. Kennedy's announcement comes after several weeks of speculation about his future in the 2024 field. Although independent and third-party candidates have struggled in the past to garner significant support in presidential elections, there is concern from both Democrats and Republicans that he could pick up substantial votes from their side. While Kennedy has been a Democrat and on paper should hurt Biden's campaign, his entire campaign in the past months has been tailored towards conservative voters. He enjoys better approval ratings among Trump voters than among Biden voters, due to controversial stands on, among other things, the COVID vaccine. For months, Kennedy was a favorite in right-wing media and the Republican Party, but things seem to be changing now, with the Trump team issuing tough statements yesterday accusing him of being a radical leftist. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. That's all we have for today. Please subscribe to keep up with the most important news.